Welcome, everyone, to episode 42 of 1 Hour, 1 Decision, 1H1D. I am Chris.
And I am Tom.
And we take 60 minutes and play a random game on Xbox Game Pass and decide, can we run on the Crysis engine?
Yeah, I think it better on the various systems that it runs on.
Yes, that's right. So this week we're going to be talking about Crysis 2. Yet again, we play the sequel and not the first game, but that's okay. This is what the surprise me button gives us, and we answer to its call.
We are
And
beholden.
we are beholden. You're right. Crytek is the company that developed this game. Very on the nose with the name and the company, but this game came out way back in March of 2011.
Yeesh.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, very long.
Play this on the PC, and the game was 9.67 gigabytes on the PC. What about you, Tom?
Hey, on the Xbox One, it clocked in at 6.5 gigabytes.
Oh, I
But
see. Oh,
there's
okay.
an asterisk on there.
Okay.
This is a 360 game.
So you don't have all the fancy textures and stuff. You're
Right.
you're
Because
you're
it
low res.
wasn't released on Xbox One.
That's true.
So
That's true. So you had the Xbox logo, 360 logo start up. That's pretty
correct.
cool.
Yeah. And looking at my gameplay time, you'll see a moment where it asks you to hit the back button,
Yeah,
which does not exist on the Xbox One controller, and that gave me some pause.
that's fair enough. Um, so let's talk about this game. What kind of game is this?
First person shooter. Yes? Agree?
Yeah,
Disagree?
agree. Absolutely. It is definitely a first person shooter. I just said it's also an adventure, like story. There is a story based first person shooter involved. It's not just like your typical, um, I don't know, Quake or
It's not an arena shooter.
it's not an arena shooter. Yeah. It's not an arena shooter or, yeah. Yeah. It's a story based game that's in first person. That's what I thought. But you shoot a lot. And shoot, we did.
Mm-hmm. Game
So
loop? What is the game loop, Chris?
game loop, I just actually did, you know what? I didn't write this down properly for you, but I was going to write traverse through levels and shoot people at the same time and use your abilities to do that.
Hmm.
Get through those said levels.
That's accurate.
Yeah. How about yourself?
I have traversed the level and shoot all the enemies in order to advance the plot.
Yeah. Yeah. That's accurate. But let's now talk about what we liked. What did you like, Tom?
Ooh, okay. So you didn't really need them, but I liked that it did a good job of setting the stage, like setting up the world that this game takes place in through the cinematics and through these like lore videos that they played. So you have two different things. You have like cinematics where it's like in the game engine, and then you have like this like almost like found video footage of like it looks like it was taken off of things like CNN and stuff,
Yeah.
but then they just slap some other kind of logo on it because
Yeah, licensing and whatnot. Yep, I get
right.
it.
I thought that was pretty cool. It did for me. It worked very well. I
Yeah.
like a game with a good setting and getting me invested in the setting. And I think this for me it worked. How
Yeah,
about
I agree with you on that. I mean, it was a little jarring when, like, during that kind of cutscene, they slapped in the CGI character during like
yeah,
one of those, and it was like, whoa, okay, now it's a real, like, they couldn't get an actor just to do that part. I guess it was like, all right, whatever. I guess that's fair. It was, yeah, like, it did kind of hype you up in a sense of like what's going on and, like, yeah, get you up to speed on the world as it is. I liked the abilities. I thought they were all really cool. It made you feel like a super soldier.
Yeah.
You got the cloaking abilities, which for if you wanted to do stealth, and but like you can just grab someone literally by the throat and just chuck them,
Yeah.
which is great. You can do super jumps, and you could do a super kick too.
Oh,
Did you kick anything?
no, I didn't. Oh, yeah. I kicked a table, I think.
Yeah, I kicked a car. That was cool too.
Oh.
So yeah, it was good stuff. That was cool.
Don't forget
And
the armor.
yes, you're right. Yeah, you have armor as well. So your suit just gets hardened or whatnot with these nanotech abilities of this suit. So very cool stuff with the abilities. And it's a first person shooter, so the gunplay was pretty good. I felt like the guns had some punch to them, and I mean they all were kind of the samey, but it was still good. Like it was satisfying enough to like you know pop someone.
Yeah, I agree. I felt the controls were tight and shooting felt good, which
Yeah,
is important since it's the main thrust of the game is doing that. So it
agreed.
better work because if it doesn't work, the whole game doesn't work.
Yeah. The other thing I did like was how it wasn't just like a straight up like you could like when you get to a particular, I guess, arena or encounter, you you can choose the way you want to approach it because you have the ability to do stealth and but you also have the ability with the armor like you had mentioned. So it's like I could just armor up and just mow everyone down, or I can go into stealth mode and silently kill everyone if I wanted to. And those silent kills are pretty brutal. So
I appreciated that flexibility as well because
yeah,
I am very much a run and gunner. So I'm glad that the game let me do that, even if it made it harder for me,
yeah,
which
yeah,
is fine.
yeah. Anything else you want to bring up that you liked?
Uh, I think it was set in New York City, which is pretty
Hmm.
cool for
That's
me.
true.
More specifically in Battery Park, which is a area that I'm very familiar with. So I thought it was pretty cool. I was like, "Hey, I recognize this area,
No,
like in
I
a
mean,
very real way."
right. I mean, there was a lot of things I thought that was kind of funny. Maybe again, it was like a licensing issue or whatnot, but like the drugstore was literally called the drugstore
Yeah,
and stuff like that. So, but and of course, um, tenants of these buildings come and go since it's New York. So it could have been a restaurant or something like that actually in real life. But like the actual kind of landscape, yes, like you said, is very much the same, which is cool. Which is very cool.
did you notice the first achievement? Did you get it on the PC?
Sadly,
Okay, it was uh, like after the first, I don't know what it was, like the first like chapter or thing. It
yeah.
it I got a ding and it says it can run Crisis,
Ah, damn it! You're right. You're right. Oh my god, I forgot about that.
and I
I
thought that
did
was
see that.
pretty delicious. I was like, "Ha! This is going in the notes." I, spoiler for anybody else
Yeah,
who's playing
there
it.
you go.
That was
Your
fun.
your 360, your Xbox One, and your PC can play Crisis 2. So don't be afraid.
Yeah,
Don't be afraid.
your
But
computer
now,
probably has to be older than my computer to
yeah,
not run Crisis 2.
that's true. Or just be Tom's computer
Yeah,
because
also
if I,
that's possible too.
yeah,
I also just want to point out that I think I had genuine fun playing it, which
yeah,
is
like I
you
said,
know it was
you can
fun for me to play.
play a first person shooter and it stink bad. So good on them for not letting it be a steaming pile of crap.
True.
But speaking of crap, we got to talk about what we don't like.
Yes, Chris. It sounds to me like that one of the things that I liked is something that you don't like. So why don't you tell them what that is?
Well, okay, we only have an hour for this game.
Sure.
And that first chunk of this lore took 20 minutes.
Yeah, it really did.
It legit took 20 minutes. I don't think there was a way to skip it, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't believe there was, but if there was, that was my bad. I should have done that. But I wanted to play the game as it's supposed to be played. If you're not supposed to skip this, then that's part of it. But I I was just like, okay, when am I actually gonna, like, because you had that like very very brief introduction
Hmm.
where you're in the submarine and you're trying to get out of it and whatnot. But then the game cuts to this long as um intro
Yeah.
credits.
Yeah.
I was like, what the, there was, again, I appreciate uh the time that it takes to make something like this, but geesh, that was rough.
Um, for me, uh, it's a 360 game, or at least the
Yeah.
version that I played was, and it
Right.
looks like a 360 game. So you know, like that's it. That's something that you know, it looked muddy. It didn't look all that great.
Yeah.
And when you hear, obviously, this is you know filtered through the you know this console playing emulating another console thing, but
Right.
there's a lot of hype surrounding the Crisis games and how good they look,
Yeah.
and you know, wow. And then it, you know, my experience here was not that.
It's
Granted, this is a 10-year-old game,
Mhm.
so I should be tempering those expectations. But like my first blush thought, like, oh, Crisis is such a cool and fancy game, and it's hard to get it to run. And
Mhm.
yeah, like I was like, man, it doesn't look good.
Yeah, it was like, this is it. Because, like, the box art looks really cool. And I was like, oh, I thought that they got pretty close to the box art style, but um, it was to your, like, I had played this on my PC, so like I was able to crank up the settings and like they turned on the ultra textures and stuff like that. But yeah, I agree with you. It looked okay. Again, it didn't have all the new technology of like ray tracing and all that other stuff. But it just looked mediocre, which is, again, like you pointed out, it's a 10-year-old game, so maybe that's just what it is. I also thought um, some of the voice acting was meh. The actual character, like the enemy encounters that you deal, like, they do their chatter, but it feels like it's like the same guy just talking to himself. And it's like, you're like, oh, I heard this voice already. So that was one part I wasn't so keen about. And then the AI itself, even though, yeah, they chatter about, and they I don't they never I didn't really see any encounters where they tried to flank me, but they they were okay. I was playing this on normal, but
Same here.
maybe as you increase the difficulty, maybe their tactics change. I'm not sure, or is it just they become more bullet sponges? Who knows? If someone played this and played it on harder difficulty, let us know. But what about you, Tom? What else did you not particularly like about this
Okay.
game?
I concur with you that the AI for the enemies was pretty dumb. And for me, the bad guys felt pretty generic. I didn't notice that they were all sharing the same voice, but maybe subconsciously I did. I felt like I was shooting the same kind of guy the whole time. You know, there
Yeah.
was no real enemy variety. I mean, maybe they were carrying other weapons, but like you said earlier, the weapons, it's like shot with the gun, shot with the gun. Like
Right. Right.
some guys hit harder
Though,
than others, but
yeah. I mean, I think near the end of my gameplay, I think they hinted at, that there are aliens in this game. And then there were like those little creatures. I
yeah,
don't know if you got to that, like when you got down into the subway. So, like, I think that that's when it was potentially going to give us more enemy variety, and maybe where they're attacking each other, kind of like, Half Life, where you had the Black Mesa and the aliens kind of fighting each other while you kind of go about doing your thing. surviving this
Yeah,
pandemic.
could be.
So, and you talked about that, right? The pandemic
Yes.
in New York City.
Speaking of which, really last of my
Ooh,
dislikes is that it's a game about a pandemic in New York City, which for me is a little too real. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
Uh, I probably wouldn't have cared pre 2020. Uh, and then, but playing it now after
yeah.
the last year and a half of whatever we've been dealing with. And there's a sequence where a plane crashes into one of the towers, like a New York City building. And I was like, this game was made, I guess it was made 10 years after the fact, but it's
They're
just
like, oh,
like, it's
we've got
okay
enough
now. We can throw planes into buildings in New York City. It's fine now.
Meanwhile, we just had our never forget. Um, I think the 9/11 moment. Like, was it?
Yeah, it was the
Yeah, a
20th
couple.
anniversary.
Yeah, the 20th anniversary. So, whoops. You know,
Yeah, maybe it's just bad timing on us playing this game.
hey, it's not ours. It's not us. It's the surprise me button. You
Yeah,
blame the surprise me button on that.
that's fair.
Not
That's
us.
fair. We didn't pick to play Crisis 2 10 years later.
Yeah. The other thing I had to check because I was like, okay, I was pretty intrigued about this game, and I was also excited about playing because you and I both just talked about it. Like there was a lot of hype with this game,
Yeah, too
and
much probably.
so yeah, and I was like, oh, let me see how long this game actually is. To beat this game, they're saying it takes about 30 hours. I was like,
Wow.
good lord. I mean, I hope those 30 hours includes maybe like 20-minute cutscenes every so often,
Sure.
but like actual gameplay is 30 hours. Good golly. That's I put it as a negative, but I understand. Especially at that time, you're paying for this game, a single player game. I don't did it have multiplayer?
I don't I
I
don't
don't
know.
think it did. I have to check that now real quick. But I think yeah, I have to check that now. Good lord.
I don't
It,
remember it being touted for its multiplayer. You know what I mean? Like in a sea
mhm.
of games that people talk about, Crisis 2 is not on the list of like, oh, like Doom or
Right.
some
Yeah.
some some other game that I can't think of right now. Halo, Gears,
Right.
like all these other games that have that where the multiplayer is such a draw.
Yeah. Agreed. But it was a big time first person shooter, and oh, there's actually nudity in this game. I don't know where. It does have it does say it has online multiplayer.
Hmm.
But I think it was it wasn't co-op. I think it was just actual what do you call it? Just PvP style combat
Okay.
or whatnot. But yeah, so that anything else you wanted to bring up about this game?
So we talked a lot about these cutscenes.
Hmm.
Um, I thought it was pretty cool
Yep.
that the developers hid the loading sequences behind these, found footage type cutscenes.
True.
Um,
True.
doesn't matter playing an Xbox 360 game on an Xbox One, and I kept getting a prompt like skip this cutscene because the content had already loaded.
Right.
But when your system hasn't loaded the content, it's good to have something entertaining and engaging to keep the player's attention uh, off of the fact that it's loading.
Yeah.
So kudos to them. Well done, dropping the lore and interesting content in between the sequences of gameplay to mask your load sequences. So I thought that was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
The other thing actually I wanted to point out was this since this is a sequel, I felt like I might have been missing something. Or did we potentially miss something because we didn't play the first one? Like were there things that, Crisis the first Crisis kind of or were there hints of the first Crisis in this game that we that just totally went over my head? I don't know.
I'm pretty confident main character of the first game is Prophet,
Well, you know what? That's probably fair. That's a fair assessment.
based
But
based on the way that this game goes.
I'm reading just the description on EA Desktop. It says, "Stay on your toes, challenging best-in-class AI with unique group coordination and group behavior systems." I don't, I don't know. It didn't seem like that, but
No, my guys just kept popping through the window, and I kept blowing them away with the shotgun. So
so no Xbox cloud saves or play anywhere, from what I can tell. So wherever you play, you got to stick with it over there. So,
for 30
but
hours.
for 30 hours, that's right. And but now it's time to talk about our final thoughts. Tom, what do you
Indeed.
think?
Well, I put down if I had a new computer and I could play this properly with the mouse and a keyboard, then I would. But I'm not going to play a 360 port on my Xbox One. I'm just not going to do it. It doesn't. There's nothing here.
That's
I
fair.
mean, it's a fun game to play, but it doesn't look very good. And
Yeah,
especially now hearing that it's 30 hours, I don't have that.
yeah, yeah. Like, I almost was as excited to play this as Metro. Like, I had a lot of fun playing Metro, and
Sure,
that
yeah.
game looks still pretty good. But there was, yeah, it's just way too long, and it was way too long, and I think I'm gonna pass on this because there's gonna be the Crisis Remaster that's coming out or did come out. Maybe I could try that out. Maybe that looks a little bit better.
Yeah.
I'm hoping,
And
since
you could start
it's
from the beginning.
and start from the beginning. Yeah, hopefully
By,
that comes on Game Pass.
by the time you finish it, maybe they'll remaster Crisis 2.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. But this game, I won't. So that is our thoughts for this game. Let us know what you think, and if we're totally wrong, we should give this a go. Even though it's 30 hours, we just power through and play this. You can always let us know on Twitter at TC1H1D, or when we're playing our next game on Twitch at twitch.tv/1H1D, or shoot us an email at tc.1h1d@outlook.com, or
Uh-oh.
comment down below if you're watching this on YouTube. Comment down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.
I
I
hate you.
didn't get the chance to
I
do that.
hate you, Chris. I hate you so much. You're everything I
Uh,
despise.
oh,
But
that's
but
so
if
good.
you are watching this, please like and subscribe and hit that notification bell.
Yeah. But yeah. So and of course, check us out on Good Pods and our awesome network, QTB. We have an app on the Android store and a website. So qtbnetwork.com. Check that out. And now we got to find out what we're playing next.
Bum bum bum.
Let's see what Game Pass has in store for us now. Here we go.
I was getting nervous at this part, Chris.
Hey, Subnautica Below Zero.
For real?
For real.
I wanted to try this.
This is a fairly new game, like on Game Pass, I believe, right?
Yeah, it is. Below Zero is like an expansion or something for the original Subnautica.
Oh,
But no,
do
I
we have
mean,
to?
no. It shows up standalone on the Xbox store, so it must be. I think it's like that Uncharted 4 DLC that was like
Oh,
then
okay.
not DLC. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yes. Is this kind of like a No Man's Sky kind of game?
Yeah, it's one of those uh, exploration, uh, building, crafting type things, but the main focus is that it's underwater.
Underwater. If you can't go up, you got to go down. So we'll find out what we think about this game in our next episode. But hey, thank you so much for sticking around with us and listening to us and now viewing us on YouTube. So, but we will talk to you on the next one.
Thank you, everybody.